G'day guys, today we're going to look at all of the different setups for a back collar choke, okay? So whether we're looking at cross choke from the back, bow and arrow, some really crazy shit, definitely want to stick around, make sure you check out. And also hold out for the end, we'll do a bit of rolling footage where you can see me trying to do this stuff live. Let's get into it. Working on our collar choke now, so when we get to this position, understand that when we play for this move, where we've come out and we've set this lapel choke and get everything set in this position, we'd love to come out here and for him to take this bait and get off my bottom hook and then let me come up, so I have to sit in and get into our back choke from here, okay? However, understand that his best course of action in this position is to rotate into my strangle hand, okay? So pretty much if you're having this done to you and you feel that they're dropping the bottom hook, don't go that way, it's a fucking trap, okay? So when I'm behind Michael here and you start to deal with better and better opposition, I set my grips here, I've done my work to get into the strangle choke, okay? Strangle choke, that's really good. So when I take him out to my right-hand side, okay, and I start to threaten to drop this hook off, he should not go belly up, okay? Instead, he should be hanging on this lapel with his my sleeve, with his, not this one, with his left hand, good. So now when I try to strangle him here, I can sometimes try and get him to try and turn, okay? He should be turning belly down with me. And when I feel this here, now my new goal, instead of trying to like do a chair sit to pull the strangle on, is to follow through with him, okay? So I'm gonna keep my left hand tight and pull up on the bottom lapel, look to rotate across. So as he rotates with me, so I'm trying to pull the strangle on. As you rotate through, I look to fire my knee up and over his shoulder here. Now in this position, the strangle is the same, only now it's much more difficult for him to turn into my strangle arm, okay? From here now, I think about closing my elbow and extending my feet through to get to a strong finish from this position, okay? So the understanding is when you start to deal with better and better opposition, trapping your partner's shoulder will greatly facilitate you getting better finishes with your cross lapel choke, okay? Especially if they know to turn into the strangle, okay? So on a naive opponent, we can assume they're gonna get their back to the mat and you just come up and you get your finish. Cool, sick. When you start to deal with better opposition, they're gonna hold this sleeve, rotate through, and you have to be ready to follow them and end with the control of the top shoulder so you can actually hold them in place long enough to strangle them. So we're back in. So here we get to our cross choke setup, coming out, and we're starting to try to play this game where we try to give him a piece of candy and he won't take the bait. He's keeping on, turning belly down. So now from here, I think about, okay, I'm gonna build up with him, rotate through, and look to trap the top shoulder with my right leg before we turn belly up. Now as I pull this down now, I can pull firmly through my left hand, close my right elbow, get to a nice tight finish, just like that. Okay guys, let's give it a go. Now guys, we're gonna look at a situation where I've kind of gotten chest to back on my partner, but I maybe don't necessarily have his back take happening yet, so okay? Quite an important variation with your cross choke is the bow and arrow choke, okay? So when I'm behind my partner, understand we have a few things at play here. When I take my strangle hand, okay, obviously the role of this is to strangle them, right? But my left hand here can attach in a number of ways to serve a function, okay? And the function of this hand is to stop him from turning into my strangle hand. So in that gripping sequence that he had before where he grabbed the cross sleeve, okay, now his whole thing is to try to rotate to that side. So my lapel grip here restricts him. You can see this lapel tighten up. This is what this hand does, okay? Now sometimes you can solve this position with a few different variables, okay? So one example is to go into like a half Nelson style position, and again you can just hang him here and go into your finish. Okay, it serves the same function because he's not able to rotate in that direction. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what you do as long as it stops him from turning, okay? Probably one of the most popular variations of this is to, when you're in a chest to back situation, I have a collar choke, is to step over and throw my chest out in this direction and look to scoop into this near side leg here. So either with a pants grip is fine, a scoop grip is fine. Some people use the butt grip here, but normally you're gonna come in and scoop his knee. Now in this position, I recline back and I again look to trap my partner's top shoulder. Now in this position, it's called a bow and arrow because you try to bow the guy's spine in half, okay, while I pull with my two hands and extend with my two legs. So as I extend my legs and pull my elbows, I focus on pull my arms, I focus on closing my right elbow down to my side and extending through to get the strong finishes here with this structure. And again, if we understand it as a means of stopping his rotation, that can help you to apply this to any position, right, when you have this lapel threaded, okay? So in a situation, perhaps I was passing his guard, and I've kind of gotten to like this chest to back structure, I managed to feed this lapel and get here. Now in this position, I start to think about casting my leg over, throwing my chest across and scooping his leg, reclining back and trapping his top shoulder. From here, arms pull, legs extend, closing of my right elbow to get to strong finishes here, just like that. Okay guys, let's give it a try. Okay guys, so as we kind of discussed, a lot of the time when you're trying to attack the neck, you only really need to understand that we're trying to do something to stop our partner from rotating. Okay, so if Michael doesn't look like whatever he's doing like that right now, right? So from here, I'm going to look to grab the lapel and thread it across. Okay, now we're going to look to go into what's called a clock choke with an L, V. Okay, so from here, I'm going to take my right hand through and grab this wrist here, okay? Now what I want to think about doing in this position is anchoring my hip over the back of his, the base of his neck. So I'm going to walk my hips up to the shoulder line and then split my right leg through this gap over his shoulder. Now as I walk in a circle like a clock, get the strong finishes here with clock choke, okay? So the pressure of my hip running through the back of his shoulder while I walk in a circle applies the rotation while I just keep everything anchored in, okay? So very simple choke, and if you learn to do it well, it can help take you really, really far. So set this lapel. Be mindful here, guys, that when we're in this position, especially when I'm off to the side of him, if I go too deep here, he can trap and makikomi me. Go ahead. And get a nice reversal, which would suck. Okay, so when I'm playing for this position, you want to think about being conscious of him trying to trap your wrist and elbow. Okay, so if I go elbow deep here, for example, and he reaches back and traps my whole elbow, it's now really bad for me. Okay, so I want to try and do this like as short as I can, like reasonably do, while still looking to walk this across into my cross grip here. So we're still just here, right? And then from here, when he's on his elbows, I'm going to come in and grab this wrist, okay? From here, I'll walk my feet in a bit of a circle, and I look to try and take my hip and do like a sit-through action over the back of his shoulder. Now I walk my feet in a circle, and I let my weight hang, and I get through to my finish, just like that. Cool? Let's give it a try. So now let's say we're going for our clock choke, okay? And we're finding that when we get here, we set this hand, and he's keeping this arm straight and like not allowing me, okay, to play this position. Here in this position, we're gonna go back to our bow and arrow choke, okay? So from here, I'm gonna think about using a thigh pry. I'm stepping up on my left foot. I'm actually gonna look to immediately drop this right in here, okay? As I drop this in, I'm gonna look to basically initiate a roll, capturing his leg, and then sinking him right into my bow and arrow strangle from here. Get up, motherfucker.
Oh, fuck.
You alright? He's dead.
Almost went out, dude.
That's good. It'd be good for the content. You okay? Okay, good. So we'll kind of take it in a bit of a more direct route. So basically, we're getting in here, we're gonna set our collar choke, and we can't reach this hand for our clock choke, okay, whether he's up or if he's in like a referee's position, like he was just in there. I can't get to this hand, okay? Of course I could try to play for this, but in this posture, we're gonna look to thigh pry, okay? I'm gonna post up and swing my leg straight in, and as I do, I'm gonna look to basically initiate a forward roll as I scoop his leg, sit him down, trap the top shoulder, and extend to get to my finish. Okay guys, let's give it a try.
So the next one is pretty ridiculous, but honestly works pretty good. The main thing is to learn to stunt on purple belts when you're a black belt someday. So coming in, and we're gonna look to set our lapel grip, just like so, and we're gonna post up similar to what we did before. The difference being, maybe we don't feel like we can shoot our right leg across the waist this time, and we just don't feel like we don't have the clearance to do this, so we're gonna try this next move. So instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look to build up to my right foot, and then once I built up, we're gonna look to shift our body position and throw my right leg all the way up and over my partner's head here. Once I put my shin on the back of the head, I'm gonna look to try to fall down to my right shoulder and scoop this far underhook here, rolling him through and flaring my shin and driving my hand in to get into my strangle, just like that. So obviously, looks sick, which is the main thing, but it's also quite effective. Like you have your whole shin driving to the back of his head. So we're back in here, we set our strangle hand, and we look to try and throw our right leg over. We can't have the space, okay? So we're gonna throw our shin behind the head, and then from here in this position, we're gonna think about coming in and avoiding situations where my hamstring goes in. We really want this shin. From here, we're gonna think about dropping my body in over the elbow, scooping the elbow, and then coming through, driving through for our finish. When you're doing this, you wanna be mindful of not like landing on your partner's elbow or shoulder or something weird like this. So what you wanna think about doing is obviously ensuring that if we're having this falling body weight, we don't have it fall on top of him, okay? So when I come through and I throw my leg over, I'm gonna think about falling past the elbow to make sure I land on him to get my submission nice and safe. Let's give it a go. Okay, so for positional sparring today, we start with this deep lapel grip, which is obviously pretty horrendous. In any case, we're working from this position and he's trying to turn to face me and escape, and I'm trying to play for a submission. So you can see I'm starting to do like a chair sit action, and you'll notice Jacko is using his left hand to try to pull down on the lapel. This is normally like not a bad like prolonging tactic, but it's very hard to actually escape from here. Here, as I try to hang him in the position, he does a really good job of changing sides, and this forces me to try to wedge him back in place. So you'll see here I'm kind of using my lower body to actually keep him adjusted in such that I'm able to try to wedge my left knee in, and he feels that does a big bridge to try to turn back inside. This allows me the room to slip my left knee back in and get back into my chair sit style posture. I managed to work my leg across the waist, and in this transition I believe I'm able to trap the shoulder, and this allows me to start to think about hanging him. So you can see this little battle going on with my right leg here. He manages to clear himself out, and I again have to chair sit. And again, once I'm able to get good pressure here, I'm able to hang him in the position and get through to my finish. That was awesome. Next up with Sayani, working my defense here. So you can notice that in this position, I immediately start to rotate into turtle, try to roll through with her. This puts us into like this almost like T Kimura crucifix style position, and here I'm able to get two hands to this arm and I post up on the elbow, and you'll notice I'm able to eventually, as I rotate through, turn myself underneath her elbow, frame underneath the lat, and this allows me to square myself back up and get to my escape. Now working the offense here with Tim, I get a deep grip here and obviously working to try to pull him into my lap. He's doing a good job of trying to build into this seated position, but this kind of allows me to set my right foot over his waist here. So ultimately, I still have quite a good position here, and the battle for this shoulder here is really important. So you see I'm able to scrape that elbow down. This allows me to hang him in the position and get to the finish. Now again with Sayani, you notice that she kind of fumbles around with her left hand a little bit here. This actually allows me to immediately escape because you need to have that left hand anchored to stop me from turning. Now here with Michael, managed to get a nice bite on his grips here, and I have a lapel in each hand at this stage, I believe, and I'm kind of threatening to try to hang him in the position, but he is doing quite a nice job of hanging on that cross sleeve grip we discussed, and as such, you're going to see me trying to make a few little adjustments here. So I start to think about sitting him up here because he's really in a strong position defensively, but this allows me to understand that he's not committing any of his hands to his defense of his lower body. So by sitting him up there, I was able to try to get a good bite at his at the hooks, I should say. Because he's bridging, this kind of allows me the ability to scoop into his leg, and I use this to hang him, and he didn't go to sleep that time, so that was good. So here working with Derwin, you see again, I immediately look to turn belly down, just to try to pressure his ability to follow me. And he does a really nice job of staying behind my shoulders by doing this little cartwheel thing. And now here he feels me with the two hands, and he starts to also sit me up. You'll notice though that I'm starting to try to rotate inside a lot more. This is the difference between Michael and I. So I'm able to rotate inside, and I get to this little Kosoto hook here. And if you guys have watched the turtle defense instructional that I did, you'll know this Kosoto hook is really annoying. And here I'm able to stop him from following me, turn inside, and get to my escape. Now here with Hamish, and I'm able to set my strangle hand, and I start to anchor again to the bottom lapel. I really favor this two hands on the lapel. It's very, very strong. And here you see Hamish is doing a good job of trying to balance, turning away from me, while also blocking hooks. But because you're in this extended position, it kind of allows me to immediately trap arms. He eventually frees his arm, but now he's so deep in the position that it's kind of cooked. So here, anchoring in and hanging him through my shoulder. You'll notice I kind of subtly row my elbow back to get the finish here. So it's not a case of just extending and ripping the lapels as hard as I can. I'm really trying to hang him in the position by closing my elbow. Here, again, immediately turning belly down into the strangle hand. And you notice I try and keep my right knee as high as I can there, try and stop him from getting a hook. He follows me really nicely, and we're kind of in this T Kimura. And I'm kind of using my left hand here to stop him from stepping over the top of me, while also kind of continuing to pull his elbow across. This allows me to slip my head free, and I get my escape.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Really hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, comment down below what you want to see next, share with your friends. Let's build it. Let's go.